in Chapter 9 is about auxiliary views and creating work planes. So the drawing that we're going to do has a new work plane that is at an angle. So for this particular one, we're going to start with the rectangle. And okay, the part we're drawing is a rod guide, and you can see that this is the design of it. Going back looking at the PowerPoint for this chapter, and you can see that this is the way that it was planned. So this is the object. First started with a rectangle with fillets and 4 holes, and then a new plane was created at an angle to create this surface. So I'm going to start drawing this, and I'm going to create a new English standard IPT, create. I'll start a sketch on this bottom plane. Then I'm going to create a rectangle, and then I'm going to dimension it. I don't really care what that dimension is yet, because I like to tie in the center point in reference to that, so that when I change the dimension, then the center goes with it and it doesn't try to offset in some weird way. So again, this one, the center, this dimension divided by 2, and now I can change, let me right click to get out of the dimension command and choose this one. This is 3 by 2, so the first one, this one was 2, and then this one was 3. So now it looks like the rectangle I wanted it to. It's in the center. Another important thing about putting the rectangle in the center is because that's where the upper part of the item, that's where that's going to be created. You want to be able to reference the center. So now I've got fillets in the corners. The fillets are 0.25 in the hole radius, and then the holes are 0.25 diameter. So I've got doing the corners, and then I'm going to put some circles in here, line that up, and I just go ahead and draw all of them, snapping to that fillet, and then I'm going to set them all to the same diameter. 0.25, and then every time I do these, I'm going to point to that, and this one, I'm going to point to that one. Whoops. Press enter, or you can use the check button. Get all those done, and then I'm fully constrained. Right click, finish sketch, and zoom out a little bit, give it a thickness. The thickness of that is 0.75. Okay, so now I've got this object, and I want to choose a plane that goes down the center of this to be able to rotate. So I'm going to open up the origin, and I'm going to look at each one of these planes. See, that's the bottom plane, and that's a plane going in a different direction. And then this one looks like the one I want. Now, you can turn on all of these if you want to, and then decide which one you want. But you can see I want to offset this one. So I'm going to get ready to offset and use on the work feature ribbon, there's one that says plane, and we're going to choose this plane first. And then since we want to rotate, we're going to pick an axis that we want to rotate around. So again, looking at these axes, trying to choose which one, it's this one. And once I choose that axis, then I've got an opportunity to put in a dimension. And I use 30. So now I've got a plane here. They're calling it work plane, and I don't need these to be visible anymore, so I'm going to turn off the visibility of those. I do want to see my center point, so I'm going to turn on the visibility of that, and also I'm going to go ahead and change to a wireframe as I get ready to draw this one, so I can actually see that. See, I can see my center there. Also, I'm going to get ready to start a sketch on this angle plane. You can choose it here, you can choose it here. And now I'm going to go back to an isometric view and wow. Okay, I'm going to project the geometry of one of these lines so I can tell where the top of the surface is. So I'm going to project just one of these. Doesn't mean I'm going to draw it to that same dimension. It just means that I will be able to refer to that line as being the top. I'm going to use the look at command, choose that plane because I want to line that up when I get ready to draw this particular sketch. I'm going to draw it off the part because I feel like it's easier to draw it off the part and then be sure that you line it up with the center. So I'm just drawing this, trying to pick up snaps anywhere that I can. And if I don't pick up all the snaps, I can always dimension it the way that it needs to be. Okay, so I've got that part drawn. Okay, I was having some issues with lining this one up, so I decided to add a center line in the middle of it. And once I drew the line, I changed it to a construction line just so that it won't show up and it won't be considered part of my sketch. So I want to be sure that I've got some dimensions in here. And I do want to be sure that that line is in the center of this part. If it comes up as a over constrained dimension, that's okay, just so long as I know it's where it needs to be. So I can dimension the other parts. And sometimes I might get something that says over constrained, that's okay. Looks like I still need a lot of different dimensions, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and tie this in to the top by using a 0 dimension. And then I'm going to tie in this center line to my center point. If it won't let you click on that center point, you can turn it to an isometric view like I did, or you can choose the center point over here in the browser. So I want that to be 0 too, to align all of that. I think I've got a dimension that I need here. It looks like it picked up that one on the other side as well. So you circle or arc, pick up your center point, go there. If you have any doubt in your mind that the dimension is the same as it is here, the 1.5 inches, then you can go back and fix that. Then I'm going to trim this. Evidently it's got some constraints on it that it doesn't like. I'm going to see, right click, okay, right click, show constraints. Let me delete that one. Hopefully that's it. I don't know. Must not be. Okay, so I'm going to get out of the trim command and I'm going to erase this. And the dimension, I'm going to do it again. Evidently I snapped to something I didn't mean to. I'm going to draw that and then I'm going to dimension it as 1.5 inches. And then hopefully this does not tie that in. Well, sometimes things just don't work like they're supposed to. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to hide my constraints. And then I'm going to, let's see if I can delete this line. And then I'm going to draw, I'm going to try to draw an arc. Yeah, I wanted to see where my center line was. Okay, I've got arc, so let's look at some of the choices. Center point. So if I can find the center that lines up with both of these, I hope. And then this is going to go in a counterclockwise rotation. So let's see. Looks like maybe that worked. Just want to be sure that this is a little bit funny, but no, I guess it did catch it. I don't know why it's showing up in green. Good. So now, let's see, it says I need 1 dimension. I'm just going to go ahead and click and see what it is. Oh, dimension for my construction line, which I don't really need. Okay, put a circle in the center. And that one in the center is 0.75. So now I'm ready to extrude. Right click, finish sketch, extrude. I'll click on that surface. I want to see what it's doing. I want to do symmetrical. And then the extrusion thickness is 1. Symmetrical. I want to put a hole in the top of this part. Remember we talked about this before. It's difficult to get a work plane off a curved surface. So if we can draw that hole on any plane that's inside the circle, then it would cut all the way through this. So I'm going to create a plane. Go to the 3D model tab, and I'm going to create a plane, and I'm going to offset it from here. So I'm going to left click, I'm going to hold my mouse, pull it up, and it gives me a dialog box, and I'm using 0.75. And if you just want me to turn and see if I can look at, there you go. So see that plane is in the center. So I'm going to click back on an isometric view. I'm going to start a sketch on that new work plane. And then I'm going to draw a hole. If you don't see that origin or you can't snap to it, then you can change it back to a wireframe. That's going to be a 1/4 inch diameter. And so right click, finish sketch. And I kind of want to rotate it a little bit so I can see that hole. Extrude, I'm going to choose it. I want it to be a cut, and I want it to go all the way. Okay, so that's my part. I can turn off the visibility of any of these that I'm done with and are just creating up the drawing. Turn off the visibility of those. I've got my part drawn. Now I'm ready to start a drawing and show an auxiliary view. So I go up here where you've got a sheet of paper, and I go to a drawing file. The first thing it does is, of course, it brings me up to the default size, and okay, I'm ready to start a drawing. So I went to new and started a drawing file. Go to base. Okay, I got to save it first. Chapter 9. And you see it's popping up. Maybe that's not the view that I wanted. I sure can't take an auxiliary view from that. So I'm going to go to my view cube and rotate that around until it's like I want it. Like I really like for it to be turned that way. And then I'm just going to click OK. And I'm going to move this up here. And now I'm going to choose auxiliary. If it doesn't choose my view, in this case I only have one view, and so it says select a linear model edge to define the orientation. So I can left click there. As I move my mouse around, it will show me how it will place the object depending on the direction that I choose. So I've got an auxiliary view for that one. And if I needed any other type of view, like maybe an isometric view, see if I can, yeah, so that might not be the right orientation that I want, but anyway, that is a isometric view of that if you need it. And I want to change my sheet size because I don't want to use this D size. So I'm going to be sure that sheet 1 is opened up, and where it says ANSI large, then I want to change that. Right click. First I want to change my paper size down. So I'm going to right click on sheet 1, edit sheet, and I'm going to change it to an A. Click OK. My parts went away. They're probably, yeah, there they are. They're just off the page. That's okay. This one is tied to that one, so I got to get my red box and move it over here. Okay, paper might be a little bit small for this one. If I want my isometric, I can bring that over too. But I just wanted to show you how to change the paper size. And then, in order to change some of the writing in here, if you don't want to use text, as long as this title block is open, I'm going to right click on field text, edit field text, and then in here I'm going to choose drawing properties. Then I'm going to left click on this little box that says I properties. So in here we've got an opportunity, if we don't want to show the name like that, we can type it. Anything that we want to change in here, we can. And I was going to see if there was anything else. Oh, here's the company. So we can put Wilson Community College. And then the title. This one was Rod Guide Design. Click apply, close. Can you see that adds the information there? So that's one way to do it, or else you can just use text. For the next slide, for one of the labs 9-4, you'll see a dimension from the edge of the part to a corner of this second feature. What I did is, that was a little bit difficult to find, so I centered everything up. Instead of, it makes a little bit more sense than giving a dimension from the edge. So I put that in the center and went ahead and done that part. Just like I did the other one, I lined it up to the center. This one uses an offset plane with a dimension. No, with an, I'm sorry, this one's a 45-degree angle. And that's it. The PowerPoint shows you one of the other labs if you want to follow that. Just a way that I recommend, or one of the ways that you can draw it.